Gaming. Just like every year since 1972, some video games actually released this year. But unlike every year since 1972, I actually managed to keep up with the unending onslaught of video games. I played nearly every game I was interested in this year, except for, these ones. Which I only missed because I don't have an Xbox Series X, a PS5, a copy of Yakuza Judgment, or friends! And, since I played a lot of video games this year, I figured I'd do what any sane adult would do, and I made a video ranking the 10 best games I played in 2021. Anyway, let's get started! Big Brain Academy is a game that I bought on a whim. I never once thought that I'd actually enjoy it, even half as much as I did. But it actually turned out to be a genuinely incredible experience. It reminds me a lot of Brain Age on the Nintendo DS, and just like that game, it makes me feel like a fucking genius. The challenges are relatively simple in concept, but the more of them you complete, the more the game ramps up the difficulty until that shit gets sadistic. It is so much fun. Especially the online mode. This is something they absolutely didn't need to add, but it automatically took the game from a 7 to a whole ass 10. I absolutely love kicking people's asses in this game. Big Brain Academy proves once and for all that I am the smartest person on the planet. I am like Albert Einstein if he was still alive. I am like Bill Gates if he was Filipino. I am like Elon Musk if he had social skills. Alright, imagine if you will, a world where Mario Party sucks. Where Nintendo pumps out shitty Mario Party after shitty Mario Party. Where the last good Mario Party is all the way back on a console most children have never even seen. That sounds awful, doesn't it? Well, I have some terrible news for you. That's our world. But alas, there is a ray of hope. Mario Party Superstars is the first good Mario Party in years, and it is nearly everything you'd want from a Mario Party game. Engaging minigames, fleshed out boards, tons of side content, Yoshi! It's mostly inspired by the N64 Mario Party games, and it proves once and for all that if you want to make something great again, you just have to go back to how things were in the 90s. On second thought, that might not be the best idea. In a year full of depressingly mediocre, underwhelming, and downright uninspired remakes of what were once truly incredible games, there was one remake that defied all odds and actually managed to be good. And that remake was The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Objection! The Great Ace Attorney games were already incredible games from an incredible franchise, so the bar for success wasn't very high. But with a brand new art style, a handful of new features, quality of life improvements, and 2 games for the price of 1, The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles was the one remake that came out this year that didn't immediately radicalize me against capitalism. And it doesn't hurt that much like Big Brain Academy, the Ace Attorney games make me feel like a complete genius. When it came time to decide which Yakuza game I'd make a mediocre review of this year, I ended up narrowing it down to Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Like a Dragon. And in the end, I decided I enjoyed Like a Dragon more. But I don't really know why. And frankly, it doesn't matter. Yakuza Like a Dragon, like any Yakuza game, was a wonderful experience from start to finish. It had the trademark charm, goofiness, and rich storytelling that the franchise is famous for, with a brand new Dragon Quest-inspired combat system and a completely different protagonist. Yakuza Like a Dragon kept nearly everything that made the other games great, and added a lot of fresh new ideas. Not to mention that it has my favorite story out of the 5 Yakuza games that I've played so far. It truly was the perfect epilogue to the original Yakuza series and the perfect prologue to something new. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Where are the strip clubs? Well, that's the thing. There actually aren't any. This game is nothing like Cyberpunk. Looks like you lose again, Nintendo. I don't really know what to say about Resident Evil Village. I honestly barely remember the game itself, but I do remember how it made me feel. Really good. Yeah. I don't fucking know, man. Resident Evil 8 had really strong ambiance and environmental storytelling, which is really the only reason people play horror games. But beyond that, it still had a lot going for it. Story and combat is good, visuals is good, level design is good, Cowboy is funny, Yoshi looks like a tumor, and Tall Lady is tall. I'm really excited for Resident Evil 9. Nearly every year, we get one big indie game that takes the gaming community by storm and absolutely dominates the news cycle for a good couple months. In 2017, it was Hollow Knight. In 2015, it was Undertale. In 2014, it was Shovel Knight. All the way back in 2004, it was Cave Story. And in the Five Nights at Freddy's year, it was Five Nights at Freddy's. And then, in 2020, it was Hades. I initially missed out on Hades back when it first came out. It just really didn't seem like that big of a deal to me. But when the physical copy released, I decided to give Hades a chance, and I guess it's time to admit, I'm not always right. I would like to apologize for my actions. I had a terrible lapse in judgment. I would like to apologize to everybody affected, and I look forward to making new content in the future. Whenever other people reviewed this game, they always said, well, I don't really like roguelikes, but I loved Hades. And no, that's stupid. That just means they don't know what they're talking about. Don't listen to them, listen to me. I actually spend a lot of time playing roguelikes, and Hades is the best one I've ever played. It just has so much heart, so much polished, gorgeous visuals, a unique art style, fluid combat. It's just so good! Also, if you were ever a Percy Jackson fan, you're a loser. Nerd loser! Oh, also, you'll probably love Hades. Life is Strange is a franchise infamous for its corny-ass dialogue. And rightfully so. Like, seriously, listen to this shit.
Now, why don't you go fuck yourselfie?
No one talks like that. The entire franchise is buried under a mountain of cringe. So why do people love it so much? It's because Life is Strange harbors a very intriguing secret. If you grit your teeth, bear down, and push past the corny Riverdale dialogue, you'll be rewarded by characters with motivations and personalities so fleshed out that they almost seem real. Stories that manage to be masterpieces despite the brain-dead dialogue, and soundtracks so beautiful that they could have been created by gods. And then, if you spend enough time playing Life is Strange, you will be rewarded with these moments where everything that works about Life is Strange comes together to form these awe-inspiring moments of beauty that show you that despite being so strange, maybe life isn't always so bad. Maybe it's okay to slow things down every once in a while. Maybe, just maybe, everything is going to be fine. And Life is Strange True Colors does all this and so much more. It captured my heart by telling the story of a young adult creating her place in the world, coming to terms with the loss of her family, and leading a small town in the fight against a soulless corporation's attempts to destroy everything that makes them who they are. I know I've said this on this channel multiple times already, but I'm not really the biggest fan of 2D platformers. It takes a particularly high-quality 2D platformer to gain my attention, and it takes a truly special game to steal my heart. Celeste is my third favorite game of all time. There is just so much that makes this game special. The gameplay is so precisely constructed and gloriously fluid. Every movement is beautiful, every death feels fair, and every success feels incredible. And the game's story of a character fighting with everything she has to overcome her anxiety, accept who she is, and push to be better than she was yesterday is truly heartwarming. It's an 8-hour game that can be beaten in 30 minutes, and it's a genuine masterpiece. If you don't believe that video games can be art, you should play Celeste. And if it doesn't change your mind, then you're probably in your 70s, and I bet you're real upset that skateboarding is now considered an Olympic sport. Alright, real quick, I want to give a short honorable mention to Shin Megami Tensei 5 and Neo The World Ends With You. A lot of great games came out this year, and as a result, I didn't have time to finish everything I enjoyed. But from the short amount of time I've got with them, I could tell that there was truly something special about both of these games, and I have no doubt that if I actually finished them, they would have both found their places somewhere on this list. Out of all the games I played this year, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is my favorite. It's also my favorite original game from last year, not to mention being my second favorite game of all time. It's not number one on this list because it's a little weird if my favorite game of 2021 actually came out in 2020, but that's besides the point! This game is truly something special. From the incredible soundtrack to the gorgeous art style to the intricately designed, heavily strategic gameplay, Everything about this game is jaw-dropping, but the one thing that truly makes 13 Sentinels stand out above everything else is the way it tells its story. The whole game revolves around a time-traveling mystery that exists in 3 different timelines and is spread across 13 interconnected stories. It drops little hints and clues constantly, all the while withholding just enough information to keep the mystery intriguing. And when that mystery is finally solved, all the twists and turns are finally revealed, and everything finally comes together, you are hit with the single most satisfying finale of any game I have ever played. A lot of great games came out this year, but to be honest, none of them really stuck out to me as Game of the Year. Don't get me wrong, I loved nearly all of the games I played in 2021, but we never really got our one big life-changing experience. 2021 didn't get its Breath of the Wild, or Mario Odyssey, or God of War, or its Undertale, Halo, Portal 2, or Mario 64. However, what it did get was still really, really good, even if none of the games released this year really fit the Game of the Year description. The closest, in my opinion, would of course be Balan's Wonderworld. No, I'm just kidding, it's Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread stars the titular character of Metroid in her fight against the Dreads. Is that right? Fuck if I know. What I do know is that this game is fucking awesome. Running around this giant labyrinth, shooting the shit out of giant bugs, collecting upgrades to turn yourself into the ultimate badass, it's sick. And when you finally turn into that badass and beat the ever-loving shit out of the motherfucker who has been taunting you all game, it's just so satisfying. And that is how I describe every aspect of this game. Exploring the labyrinth? Satisfying. Parrying an attack? Satisfying. Getting an upgrade? Satisfying. I think this is because the developers had spent the past 16 years putting a painstaking amount of time and effort into making Metroid Dread as creative and polished as they possibly could, and the result is one of the best games in the entire Nintendo Switch library. So there's my list. Why should you listen to anything I have to say? Because I play a lot of video games. And I mean a lot. So when I tell you that a game is incredible, you better fucking believe me. Or at least, give it a shot or whatever. Also, you should subscribe.